How many Neres do you madlig on Chanukah? Hilchos Chanukah Perek Daled Halacha Aleph. It's really the second parak of Chanukah, but since it's the fourth parak of Hilchos Megillah and Hilchos Chanukah, therefore the Rambam counts it as the fourth. The order of the Rambam is Megillah before Chanukah because it came in time in history. It was earlier, but in Shulchan Aruch it's reversed because of the time of the year when it falls out. Chanukah is before Purim. In Perek Daled, the Rambam says, how many nails do you madlik on Chanukah? We'll go down below. How many nails do you light on Chanukah? The mitzvah is Sheyiyeh Kol Bayis Ubayis Madlik Ner Echod. The main mitzvah is only one Chanukah left for every household. Bein Sheyan Shebeis Merubim. Whether or not the people are many, Bein Shlo Yeboy Ele Odom Echod. It doesn't matter if there's only one person there. But Mahad is a mitzvah. Somebody wants to add to the mitzvah, he lights according to the number of people in the house. If he and his wife, it's 2 people. 2 children, it's 4 people. 8 children, it's 10 people. Whether it's men or women. In the Mahad, on more on this, and he does a mitzvah in a muvcha, he lights 1 ner the first night for every one of the household. So if he has 8 children the first night, you'll see 10 candles lit. That's B'layla Rishon. And the next night, he adds 1 more candle for everybody in the house every night, which would bring it up to 20 the next night, and then 30. Maggid Mishnah cites Shabbos, Chav Aleph. Rachomon said mitzvah Chanukah is ner ishu beisoy. Ner echod for 1 person and for his whole household. Mahadrin is a ner for each individual. All 8 days of Chanukah. Mahadrin and a Mahadrin, Beis Hillel say the first day he lights 1, then he adds each day. Beis Shammai say the first day each person lights 8, and then the second day you go 7, 6, until you reach 1, and the halacha is like Beis Hillel. So the Rambam explains the Mahadrim and the Mahadrin do add a ner for every Mahadrin, add a ner for every person in the first night, and Mahadrim and Mahadrin add every night also a candle. And the Maggid Mishnah says that's what Beis Hillel say ner le'echod for every one of them, and it would seem to be the correct interpretation of the Gemara. Now we'll go to Halacha Beis. In Perek Dal Halacha Beis, the Rambam says, Ketzad, how is this so? If there were 10 people in the first night, you'd write 10 candles. The second night, 20. He's clarifying you shouldn't say the first night 10, and he adds 1 candle, it means 11. And the third night, and the third night, 30, till you'll have 80 candles in the house. You better be living in a concrete building. Now, because according to the Rambam, it doesn't mean 1 night extra candle every night, but it means for every one of the household you have to light a extra light, and he's being very clear about it, etc. We'll go to Halacha Gimel. Minig Poshet. The Rambam says a Minig Poshet in all of our cities of Sfard that all the people of the house should be madlik ner echod b'layla rishon. They should be madlik 1 ner the first night, and they add a ner every night. So, and we go down below until we find everybody lighting 8 candles. But Vein Shoyu Anshe Abayis Merubim, it doesn't matter if the people were many, or Vein Shoyu Odom Echad, it was 1 person. You'll always end up with 8 at the last night, and the first night 1 for each individual. The Maggid Mishnah cites that when he writes, this is the minig in all of Orisvad. The Lechem Mishnah says that his was a minute. That was his minig as well. Meiser Keach cites Rabbeinu Eliyahu, who asks, and the Mishnah also asks that minig is not a minig of a mahadran, that you add every night the number of people in the house, and not to add the rest of the nights, and not like the mahadran and the mahadran, because according to the Rambam, it would mean, according to the Rambam, it would seem that the mahadran, what we do, is not iga adin. Miga adin is one nair is enough for the entire household. You don't have to add every night. The second night, one candle. And he says it would seem that it's a minig b'toz. Why do we add? He brings down Mahadrim and Mahadrim light one candle the first night, and they add a light the second night, and they don't go according to the number of people in the house. And that's why our minig would seem to be correct, that where they only lit one candle for one candelabra for everybody. The first night one, the second night two, and that seems to be out of place according to the minig. So the Lechem Mishnah says it's not a mistake, because they do correctly, even though you don't have to add, but we combine the two thoughts. We add every night one candle, even if there are many people in the house, not according to the number of people. So it says the minig is like it's brought down the Rambam. So according to the Rambam, it's either one candle, or the next step up is one candle for every person in the house, and the next step up is we add in every night another candle for every person in the house. The minig of the Sfarim today basically would seem to be that they light one candelabra for everybody in the house, and they add 1, 2, 3, 4 through every night of Hanukkah. We'll see that this is one of the unique places where they Dot HaMizrach do like Balei Toises, and the Balei Toises do like, and the Ashkenaz does like the Rambam. But the Meiser Keach explains that our minig is not like the Rambam, but rather like Toises. That the minig is like Toises, and the Beis Yosef and the Bach bring the Toises in Shabbos 21b. The Mahadrim and the Mahadrim light only one candle for the whole house, and then they add another nair every night, not doubling it up. And that way, there's a greater hidur, because you're going for the days as well, not only for the people. However, somebody who lights one candle for everyone in the house, even if we'll add on one more, there's no recognition, because they'll think that's yesterday there were 10 people in the house, today there's 11 people in the house, because they won't know that he added, and he thinks now he has more people. The Beis Yosef says that the meaning is to hadlik in the first night one candle, and you add a nair every night, even if there are many people in the house, like Toisus, that you only have one candelabra to designate the days. So actually you designate the days of the people. The Bach adds that's for sure that the minig is according to Toisus. Meiser Keach adds that even though the minig of the Rambam brings is not the way it would seem to be the correct, he didn't want to change it, because he had on whom to rely, and therefore that he left them in their minig, because that was the way it was done in all of Sfarad, and he couldn't change them back to what he held was actually correct, which was to have each day Mahadrim and Mahadrin added. Now, what do the Ashkenaz do? The Gemara cites from the Maharal Prague that since in the time of Sakono they lit inside, we didn't light like this. They named Edot HaMizrach outside, and therefore inside the house you have to know how many people there are. So you don't have to think that people will say those people didn't light. Therefore, even according to Tosfos, you would just add one every night. And furthermore, that you do it inside, everybody can light in a different place. You don't have to have them lighting near one tefach next to the door. And therefore, since you see different candelabras, you see also the people in the house. Thus we find that Minig of Ashkenaz is like the Rambam. Ma'adim and Mahadrin is everybody should light. And go to the next page. And the meaning of the Svardim is basically that you light in one place and you only light one candelabra, because otherwise they'll become confused. If you don't have a candelabra, especially, you just be counting candles. The Taz says this is a chiddush. The Svardim and Noyig Tosfos. There's one place where we find the Svardim acting like the Balei Tosfos who were in Ashkenaz, and Ashkenaz like the Rambam. This we don't find any place else. Hagalim Masechta cites that one should not leave the neiros in the doorway of the house, but they put it. All the people of the chutzah put it by the doorway of the chutzah. Rashi is the opinion that everybody does it by his house. And the Galim Masechta asks a question. According to Tosfos, when you add in the next night, if everybody's lighting in one place, they could think that the number of candles is because of the number of people in the chutzah. Furthermore, Tosfos did not know that everyone will be did not know that you could do it in different places. Where do they have Ma'adim and Mahadrin? Maybe they're of the opinion, like the Mahadrin, everyone was lit it in a separate place, so it should be recognizable how many candles there are. Otherwise, you don't know if the candles are because of the days, or the candles are because of the people, or there's more people, or there's less people. And he refers to the Rambam that what the Mahadrin light, the number of the people in the house is not like the Ramah. Everyone lights in a different place. And therefore, he says the Mahadrin of the opinion that the Ner Chanukah is because Pesumi Nisa is not the same type of Pesumi Nisa that when you have few people in the house, the Pesumi Nisa that you do when there's a lot. And therefore, if you do according to the number of the people, you cannot recognize it unless you add as many as the number of the people again and again. Meaning that the main obligation is on the owner, and therefore, even though it's enough to light a ner echod, you should make pirsum according to the number of people, and it doesn't mean that everyone of the house should light himself. Like we find in Loshen Rambam, the mitzvah is that every house should have a ner lit in it. That's the emphasis of the Rambam. That it doesn't matter whether there are a lot of people or not. The main thing is to have one candle for the household. Therefore, in the entire length of the Halacha, he says, B'laylo Rishon 10. So he comes to the eighth day, you would have 80. And he says, according to the number of people and according to the number of days. And he doesn't say that everyone should light a candle, but one person should light for everybody in the house. Therefore, both men and women, because you have to light according to the number of people, because there's a greater revelation of the Nes when you have more people. Therefore, there's no problem with it. Balei Tosfos, on a question on Tosfos, that some Balei Batim do it in the doorway of the Chotzer, because at the time of the Adloka, when one person is lighting, you see how many people there are, how many days there are, so you see he lit for extra days, and therefore you have 2 days the second night. Everybody sees you doing the first night 1, second night 2, third night 3, and at the time of Adlok, everybody knows what day of Chanukah it is. Even though there are many people there, you don't have to, according to Tosfos, you do not have to worry about how many people there are. It's basically how many days there are, and the people see it. They have to see it. We'll stop here. However, when the Balabais lights in his house, the first night, 10 candles, the second night, 20, there's no, according to Tosfos, there's no recognition because it could be that there were more people in the house, as many as there are candles. The Galia Masechta questions on the Ramah, how does he know that everyone who has a son or a chosen will light separately? Because according to the Rambam, the only one who lights is the Balabayas for everyone. Furthermore, that if you light according to the number of the houses and the women, even according to the Ramah, why didn't they make, according to the Ramah, why didn't they make that women should light? And because if the women have to light, and if one person is not lighting for a nair for each of them, then they should each light for themselves. And the answer is that it's hard to understand the Das Ramah, and furthermore, there's a chash of brochel about when everyone lights by themselves. So he questions why the minig of Ashkenaz is that everybody lights and the women don't light. Going to the Rambam, one person is lighting and being moitze everybody, and he's lighting a lech for them. The Goyna Bekiva Ege says that from this, that everyone in the house lights for himself and makes a brocha, there's no proof that you can make a brocha for Hidur itself. Because technically the obligation is one candle for the whole house. So therefore the brocha of Hidur is not a mitzvah by itself. How can you make a brocha? Because he can do whatever, he doesn't have to do it. And he answers that it's not a brocha levatolo, because if a person obligates himself to do something, it becomes obligation. And on Chanukah, this is something that you have, the Chacham permitted you to obligate yourself to do. And on the question why women do not light, the Chassam Sofer in Shabbos 21b says, since originally they did it outside, and a woman shouldn't be standing outside, therefore, especially not at night, therefore, in order that they shouldn't be men and women lighting at the same time, therefore they didn't enact that women should light, and it was also sakona, much more so for women than for men. There was also, men could fight it off where women couldn't, and therefore they left it that women do not light, and only if her husband's not home and there's nobody lighting in the house, she has to light. The Tshuva Shar Ephraim questions why women don't light, and he doesn't answer. The Mishnah Berurah explains that women don't light because a woman is like a person himself, but according to the Mishnah Berurah, would seem that women, young women, after Bas Mitzvah, they would have to, or even before, should have to light. And thus we have to come to the answer of the Chassam Sofer that the reason women don't light is because they couldn't light outside, and in Ashkenaz it was dangerous, and therefore they didn't light, and therefore they continued not to light. So they wish to help, and we should be able to light the Chanukah Lecht and be fasten the Ness of Chanukah and Mekadosh Shem Shemayim.